Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Train Tuesday. I'm your host, Jim Wigan. And yes, I don't have much of a voice. Just coming back from the Amherst train show, and it's been about a little bit over a week. And first of all, it was great to see a lot of you that stopped by the Atherton booth. If I got a chance to talk to you, that was probably the highlight of the show for me. So thanks for coming on out for those that made it. For those of you that did not make it, I hope you put it on your bucket list for maybe next year and go ahead and attend. Now let's see who is joining us on this live stream this evening. I see Mr. Simpson, Mr. Woods, a model railroader, Alco Man Kyle, DG Model Works is in the house, Randall, Terry, Jason, Steve, Trackside Mike, and Union Pacific 1943. Sid, you are correct. I am, uh, as someone has said on some of the many Facebook groups out there, I got the Amherst creeping crud, but I am on the downward swing of it. Actually, everybody at the Atherton booth came down with this thing, so I apologize for my rather rough voice tonight, but we'll get through this because we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about the Atherton Genesis CA11 Cabooses. We're also going to be talking about some box cars from Atherton, and we've got some maintenance away items as well. So before we get started, let's go ahead and do one more round of shout outs, and let's get started with another Tuesday of train goodness. I see Michael and Trackside Mike and Randall, Sid, Donnie, Chessie, Trackside Mike, Bruce, Idaho Rail Fan. You're going to be in for a treat tonight. Charles Woods, Glenn Power Williams, and Anthony, Steve, Harold, and Ronald, just to name a few. If you're joining me live tonight, thank you very much. We appreciate it. If you are catching us on the YouTube channel later, we've dropped into your feed and you like the content that you're seeing here on Train Tuesday, please do the Atherton team a favor and like and subscribe to the channel and then hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new Atherton video like this drops into your feed. All right, let's get started. We're going to start talking tonight about something that we announced back at the National Train Show last August, and we finally formally announced for the month of February, and that is the Atherton Genesis CA11 Caboose. A little background on these. As trains exceeded Plate C dimensions with taller and taller cars, the caboose cupola became ineffective for watching over a train. By borrowing another railroad's caboose, Union Pacific found that bay windows provided better train visibility, were safer, and more comfortable to ride in than a cupola. They placed an order for 100 cabooses with International Car Company for a new class of caboose being delivered in 1979. Large protected end porches, 70-ton National Swing Motion trucks, elevated toolboxes, oil-fired heat, and hydraulic coupler cushioning were just some of the many new features that made these cars crew favorites. Now, a single CA12 prototype was created with comfort and safety improvements. However, the order was canceled as UP inherited recently built Rock Island cabooses. UP modified the CA11 fleet with many of these features, creating a subclass of CA11. Additional unique modifications were made to these iconic cabooses as they were no longer needed for regular train service, several of which Atherton has created a detailed version. We're going to talk about those tonight. Now, what you see on your screen now, this is the initial CAD drawings that product development has provided us. We actually use these for the National Train Show. And since we don't have a prototype yet to show you, I wanted to show you the CAD drawing. These are brand new models. They've not been produced before. This was based on a lot of feedback from you, the customer. And we're happy to have finally announced the HL scale version. N scale guys, don't worry, your version is still coming. However, it's going to be a little bit down the road. But for now, let's talk about the very first release of these Atherton Genesis CA11s, what roads we're announcing, what versions we're announcing, and everything that I'm going to show you here on this program. Pre-orders will be due Friday, February 23rd. Now, the first set of cabooses that we're going to show, we've got three different road numbers. These are as delivered. These were as they appeared from 1979 to 1992. Inspired by Union Pacific's examination of Missouri Pacific's shop-built bay window cabooses, the CA-11 represents the last newly built caboose offered by the Union Pacific. Not having to climb ladders into a cupola, having features like an icebox, National Swing Motion trucks, and cushioned couplers, the ride was compared to the best passenger cars in terms of crew comfort. So these are as they appeared on the property from 1979 all the way to 1992. We're offering three different road numbers for this initial as delivered run. You see here 25810, 25832, and 25885. Features that are specific just for these three cabooses in this run. Angle porch supports, straight steps, unshielded walkway lights, and included will be two window screen options. Those will be included for you to add the version of your choice. Now, as time went on, these cabooses did get modified by the railroad. Here is an example in CAD, kind of a three-dimensional look for you guys to see. Some refinements were done by the railroad, and we're also going to be offering three different road numbers for these modified CA-11s. Within a few years, UP CA-11 fleet began to receive modifications based on crew feedback. External changes included the L-angle porch supports being enclosed to reduce injuries. Extra grab irons were added around the doors. Steps were changed to reduce fatigue, and walkway lights were shielded to protect night vision from the bay windows. Now, these would have been as they would have appeared from roughly 1980 to 1985 and somewhat further. We're offering three different road numbers for this modified version of the CA-11. 25832, 25835, and 25843. Now, features specific just for the modified version will include modified boxed porch supports, additional doorside grab irons, lowered and extended steps, shielded walkway lights, side-mounted tack boards, and two window screen options are included. Now, we didn't stop there. We did a few other versions. This is a unique version as it appeared from 2006 to 2012. This is the Madera Flyer. Now, many CA-11 cabooses continued life as shoving platforms. They're large porches ideal for a comfortable and protected position for such an operation. The long reversing maneuvers required for this Fresno, California-based caboose encountered many dangerous road crossings. In 2008, it was restored with a slight paint scheme variation and addition of headlights, air horns, a roof-mounted bell, and in our version here, all the lights and the sound-equipped version comes with the proper bell and horn recordings. So, this is the only one that we're doing like this. There was only one Madera Flyer. Union Pacific number 25833, and specific features for this. And for you guys that are doing more modern stuff, this is perfect for you guys that are have a small shelf layout where you don't have a passing siding, where you simply have to use a shoving platform. Well, this will really add to the operations of your layout. You have the option of lit high-mounted headlights, roof-mounted Nathan K3 air horn, roof-mounted brass bell, and of course, other additional CA-11A prototype features. We didn't stop there though. We wanted to make this first release to be something to be remembered. This version here called the Snow Bus, and you can see right away there's some modifications that make it ideal for this application. Now let's talk about this for a minute. We're offering two different road numbers for the Snow Bus, and this is for 2008 on up. And by the way, if you've got one of the 4014 big boys previously, you might want to make your pre-orders. We'll get to that in a second. Union Pacific modified a total of 5 CA-11 cabooses to serve as snow buses. 2 of these had their porches fully enclosed for this assignment. These cars were equipped with MU and signal hoses as they were positioned in the middle of back-to-back locomotives, which amounted to the entire train. The snow bus would ferry crews to locations otherwise unreachable in worse weather. Now, recently, 25809, which you see there on your screen, was included in the 2023's Big Boy 4014 excursion train. So there you have it. If you got one of those in HO, you're going to want to add this to your roster. We're also offering caboose number 25872. Now, features just for these two snow bus versions, they're going to have unique body style with enclosed end porches. They'll feature insulated non-opening windows, MU pedestals, and rubber signal hoses unique to these cars, additional center mounted porch light, and 25809 will have its original straight steps, while 25872 will have modified steps. Now, believe it or not, Union Pacific was not the only one to get the CA11s. The Onida and Western, specifically 1979 to 1987. Now, the Onida and Western Railroad consisted of two coal trains. The Shamrock Coal Company invested in a fleet of SD40-2s, which you'll remember we just offered those last month. Berwick bathtub gondolas, again, we've offered those in the past, and two cabooses, which allowed them dedicated capacity in a time when getting prompt service from railroads was difficult. The Onida and Western was the only other original buyer of the ICC CA11 caboose, having these cars built to the unmodified UP specs. So features on these are going to be pretty much identical to the original CA11s that we opened the show with. There's two road numbers, the only two road numbers, OWTX 9990 and OWTX 9999. So these are going to have the CA11 prototype features that we talked about earlier. They'll also have a center mounted red marker light. And that's not all. That may have been the original caboose, but some of the CA11s, as they were slowly retired off the UP roster, found homes in other railroads, including the Idaho, Northern, and Pacific. And this is 1993 era. Striking paint scheme, really nice looking paint scheme. Union Pacific began selling off low traffic branches in the late 1980s. The INPR was formed to continue service in eastern Oregon and the western edge of Idaho, interchanging with the Union Pacific. They acquired three former CA11A cabooses for their operations into the early 90s. Out of the three, we're offering two. Somebody had asked earlier in the program why we didn't do all three. We want to do future runs of these cabooses. So we're going to leave one in our playing deck for a future release. But for right now, we're offering caboose number 046 as well as 048. Now these again are former Union Pacific cabooses. So they're going to have the same features as the modified CA11s that I showed you in the second slide at the beginning of the show. Now let's talk a little bit about the different versions that you can get as well as the different features. Now these cabooses are Atherogenesis, so they're going to have a lot of details to them that are specific to the CA11 prototype. Also, you can order these with just lights, or you can also get lights and sound. Now keep in mind for you guys that are into operations, especially with small shelf layouts, if you don't have any passing sidings and you are simply need a protection or grade crossing protection, these cabooses are perfect for operations because now you have a shoving platform. Let's start with the LED light equipped features first. So all of the LED lighting on these cabooses, onboard DCC decoder. However, they will operate in analog with lighting functions controllable and DCC. Now there's various classes that will feature single or dual roof markers or end mount markers, and they're based per the prototype. And so with that being said, keep in mind that not all cars have working marker lights. The LED interior as well as the marker lights will have a brightness control, and all functions are NMRA compatible in DCC mode. Now let's jump up to the sound equipped as well as the light, adding the sound dynamic to these cabooses. You have the air horn or train line air whistle as appropriate. Clickety-clack with optional wheel flat spot sounds. Brake set release sounds, including retainers and brake squeal. Big hole emergency brake application sound. Handbrake tie down and release sequence. Adjustable flange squeal. Air horn and bells work seamlessly with soundtracks, locomotives, and sound decoders, meaning that you can consist this up to your primary switcher or locomotive, and they work in tandem just perfectly together. They will support advanced consisting in DCC, full DCC functions available when operating in DCC mode, and all functions, of course, are NMRA compatible in DCC mode. Now, the MSRP price on these models, if you go with the light only version, they're $119.99. If you go with the Tsunami Sound version that includes both light and sound, they are $159.99 each. Again, keep in mind that's MSRP, so you're going to need to talk to your dealer about your pricing. All right. So there you have it. This is a brand new model, and I'll take a few questions here about these cabooses. Terry Poole has a question. Will Athearn ever do any prototypical Southern Genesis bay window cabooses? So right now, probably not in the immediate future. We're going to get the CA11s done in both HO and N scale. We've got some other cabooses that we're working on that are not those, but that doesn't mean that we won't at some point do those in the future. Train Jack 16, I understand a couple of things. Remember, these are MSRP, so you need to talk to your dealer. MSRP means full on retail. We support the dealer network, so we don't have the sales like other manufacturers might have. You need to talk to your dealer for those prices. And just like anything, you'll want to shop around. There are some dealers that may have better prices than others. All right. Well, let's move on to our next item. And we're going to talk boxcars. These are going to be Athearn, and these are pretty much what we're going to be talking about tonight, 1970s era boxcars. So if you're a 1970s HO scale modeler, you're going to want to pay attention to this. We're offering the Athearn HO scale 50-foot Evans double door boxcar. Again, these were seen all over the country, mainly in the 1970s into the 1980s. And so we're offering railroads that as they appeared in the 1970s. However, that doesn't mean you can't use these if you're a 1980s modeler. Now, the one that you see on your screen right now, the LNAC, this is car number 5062. This is actually available now. If you like this car, you can definitely talk to your dealer. The item number for this is ATH 67952. Again, that is ATH 67952. Now let's talk about what we have available for pre-order, and you've got till Friday, February 23rd. Here's our first three that we're going to be talking about now. Before I move on, I want to let you know that all of the road names that you see here, they're available in 3 different road numbers. So the Illinois Central is available in 3 different road numbers, as well as the others. Now, the first one up is the striking Illinois Central. This is a 1971 on up paint scheme. This is car number 150023. We're going to also offer car numbers 150027 and 150032. Next is the Ralston Purina, 1973 on up. Their reporting marks were RPCX, and this is car number 202. On top of this car, we'll also offer car numbers 204 and 207. And then heading into the later part of the 70s, 1977 to be specific, is Western Pacific. 62104 is the car number here. We're also going to offer 2 additional cars for Western Pacific, 62147 and 62203. Heading on over to my neck of the woods, We've got the Boston and Maine with a paint scheme that came out in, for this particular car anyways, 1969. These could be seen throughout the 1970s and 1980s, right up until the Guilford era. And this is Boston and Maine car number 107. We'll also feature cars number 109 and 113. 1970 on up is this Weyerhaeuser car. Their reporting marks for Weyerhaeuser was USLX, and this is car number 13063. We'll also offer car numbers 13074 and 13081. And then last but not least, this is a neat car. This is for 1974 on up. This is Thomasville Furniture. Their reporting marks are also USLX, and this is car number 12013. We'll also offer car numbers 12015 and 12017. Now, these are great cars because they have a lot of detail to them, not as much as a Genesis car, but enough detail to satisfy most modelers, and they work great for operations or for taking to the clubhouse layout or running on a modular setup. Let's talk about some of those features that you can find on these particular Athlon cars. Going back to our earlier example, these are going to feature a double 8-foot plug door, separately applied grab irons, stirrup steps, end ladders, brake wheel, and stand and underbody details. They will have body-mounted McHenry operating scale knuckle couplers, 33-inch solid nickel silver wheels with RP25 contours, a way that you are ensured that they'll operate on all popular brands of track, weighted for optimum performance, and these are fully assembled. All you need to do is take them out of the box and maybe weather them. Razor sharp printing and painting. I'm constantly amazed at how sharp the printing has gotten on these cars in the last few years. And minimum radius on these, even for the smaller layouts out there, you can still handle these with their 18-inch minimum radius. Now, MSRP on these cars is $34.99. Again, that's MSRP. So contact your dealer for your price. Again, if you're looking to add some operations to your layout and you need some mid-1970s cars, these are a sure fit. All right. Let's go on to our next item, and a little bit different. We're going to be talking about maintenance away. Now, these are really cool cars by Athlon. This is a 3-car set, and you can add these to your yard, or you can even add these to your operations or wefwata, if you will. If you really want to throw a monkey wrench into your operations, set up a maintenance away train. It'll keep your operators on their toes. So we've got a couple of different versions. What you see here is all 1970s era. We have the Burlington Northern on the top. Really cool feature there is you can see the heritage of that gondola. It was a former Burlington route. We've got 1970s Conrail, of course, and we've got Canadian National. We've also got 3 other roads to feature, including one that will fit any railroad. We've got the Rio Grande, which is again 1970s. Kind of going back a little bit to 1960s, we've just got a simple maintenance away painted in orange. This is perfect for anyone out there that maybe have their own freelance railroad, or they have a railroad that's not featured here. They can definitely add this to their roster. And then finally, the Union Pacific, and this is the 1970s as well. Now, this 3-car set obviously comes with 3 cars. All 3 cars have different details. So let's talk about those details. First, you see the fuel tender. The fuel tender will feature separately applied wire grab irons, body-mounted McHenry operating scale knuckle couplers, 33-inch solid nickel silver wheels with RP25 contours, and of course, by itself or within the set, the fuel tender will operate on the minimum radius of 18 inches. The derrick car is next. It's going to feature a separate metal derrick chain and hook details, body-mounted McHenry operating scale knuckle couplers, also 33-inch nickel, solid nickel silver wheels, and it too will operate on a minimum radius of 18 inches. Then finally, the gondola. The gondola will also feature separately applied wire grab irons, body-mounted McHenry couplers, 33-inch solid nickel silver wheels with RP25 contours, and it too will operate on a minimum radius of 18 inches. Now this is a 3-car pack. MSRP on this is $144.99. Again, that is MSRP. So if you're really interested in these and you want the best price, shop around with your favorite hobby dealers, your favorite Athearn dealers for your price. Again, MSRP on these is $144.99. So there you have it. That is what we've got for the month of February. We're going to have some more things that we're going to talk about on the next Train Tuesday. But these items that we talked about on this program, all pre-orders are due Friday, February 23rd. So talk to your dealer. Those CA11s, I guarantee you, if you don't pre-order those, they're going to go quick when they come in about a little over a year from now. The details on these is going to be just amazing. And again, if you're a modern modeler with a small shelf layout and you need a shoving platform, adding the sound is going to add another dimension to your operations. So with that being said, let's go ahead. I'll stick around for a little bit to answer any questions and see what's on your mind. So my fellow train modelers, I'm listening. Any locomotives? We covered locomotives last week on Train Tuesday, GP38-2s, and an exciting release actually. We had GP38-2s for modern Union Pacific as well as 1980s Union Pacific that were based on Mopac. There's some Conrail in there if you're into Conrail, of course, some high hood Norfolk Southerns, and a little bit of everything. So go ahead and check out last week's Train Tuesday. That one was actually pre-recorded because we were just getting back from Amherst. Let's see what else we have here. And I wanted to say too, if I haven't said so far, if I saw you at the Amherst show, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I saw a lot of great folks at the Amherst show. Let's see, a lot of people happy about the maintenance away and the box cars. Do these sets come with sound? Luis wants to know, are you talking about the maintenance away sets? The maintenance away sets don't come with sound. No, they are just pure non-DCC, non-speakers. BN Green 1970, I always like to put his cool info up here. He says he saw the INPR a lot after it was formed. A little late for my layout, but I ordered one anyway just for nostalgia's sake. Got a Keep on Trucking on order too. It fits my era and location. Thank you, BN Green. That's cool. Let's see what else we've got for comments and questions. Mike Fisher. Yes, it was a pleasure meeting you and Nancy at the show. We had a great time. He sent me some really cool photographs and some information about the Quaker State tank trains, and we had a great conversation. I mean, for me, going to a train show, that's where it gets really, I really enjoy it because I get to talk to folks. When I see you on a show like this, I just see maybe a small picture of you or your cat and your name. It's a lot more fun to actually talk to you in person. And you know, we're all modelers. I get really excited to hear about what you're working on, and sometimes I get to see pictures of what you're working on. So thanks for stopping by, Mike. It was a pleasure talking with you, and thanks again for those pictures. Let's see, trackside Mike. I think your autocorrect is doing this to you. I think you mean would Athearn consider adding keep alives to their locomotive, not Alice. For some reason, I think of a certain album when I hear Alice, like a restaurant. Is it something that we have thought about? Yes, we've thought about it. Is it something we're going to do? I can't tell you that for sure. Product development is always looking into ways of improving our locomotives. I can tell you that the RX 500 that we announced or semi-announced at the National Train Show, that will have a Keep Alive in it. So that may open the door for Keep Alives and other projects, but time will tell. So unfortunately, probably not the answer you were looking for, um, but there is some hope there if that's what you're looking for. And yeah, it was the autocorrect. I know, I've been there myself. Let's see other questions. Jason says, I heard the announcement. I can't wait to meet you in Chattanooga for 2026. Wow, that'll be nice to go to Chattanooga. That would be nice. Yeah, and that'll be nice to meet you, Jason. Let's see. Just gonna go back a little bit, see if there's any questions that I missed earlier. Mr. Reynolds, yeah, another. Mr. Reynolds is voting for the the Southern Railway Cabooses. Hopefully, maybe in the someday. We haven't really done as much Southern prototype stuff that I'd like to see yet. Here's a good question. Are there many requests for maintenance of way cars and equipment? Actually, yes, there is, and not just like what I'm showing you tonight. Even the vehicles, whether they be high railers or other forms of equipment, especially modern. We're starting to see a lot of people asking for that. In fact, during the weekend at Amherst, myself and the other Athearn folks that joined me also heard the same thing. So keep an eye on Athearn. You never know what our product developers are working on. Let's see. A lot of well wishes for my voice. Yes, thank you. I apologize for that. I have been drinking a steady flow of Earl Grey throughout the day. Hasn't seemed to help yet, but yes. And based on the comments, a lot of you guys are looking for maintenance away. So keep an eye out for us. We've got some great stuff lined up for 2024. Mr. Simpson, what is the status of the Versacoil cars? Yes, great question. Versacoil is both an HO and N scale. I've been waiting for N scale versions. We would like to say sooner than later. There are some complications that we had to address early on in the uh, process, but we are still trying to get those here by, I believe, late summer, early fall. Um, Keep an eye on our social media. We try to keep that up to date with our dates. And if we do have any news, we like to put them there first. And then second place, if you're not a social media minded person, we also work with a lot of the major magazines rather, and get them information as soon as possible. All right. I've got time for one, maybe two more questions, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to some modeling. Trackside Mike, you're close to one of my favorite cures, which is usually hot wings. That usually clears things up. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that, and everyone else as well. All right. Now, while I'm looking for that last question, I do want to let you guys know our web team is working on the many different things that you brought to our attention regarding some issues with the website, mainly dates. If you're like me, maybe you're not like me. I'm very impatient. Once I place a pre-order, I start counting down the days. I pre-ordered the New England Southern GP18s, and next year can't get here soon enough. I also pre-ordered the GP15s, and I want to know where they're at. And of course, you do as well. So if you see some announcements on our social media feed and you're not seeing information of when something you pre-ordered is coming, feel free to use the social media as a place to ask that question, and I'll be more than happy to answer that for you. We're trying to work very closely with our factory overseas, and we're trying to keep those updates coming in. And as we start getting pictures of stuff coming in, we're going to go outbound and not only put that on our website, but put it on social media too. We just want to help you guys know when stuff gets here. And if you're like me, you've got a budget. So you want to make sure that your budget is in line with everything that's coming in. Yes, some of those P-42s are being shipped as we speak. AC-4400s are very close. We had some at the show. Those were actually the last. I don't think, no, those weren't pre-production. Those were the last of the ones that our product developers, Robert and John, had signed off on. We're close. I'm hoping to see those in our photo studio here in the next week or so for pictures, and they're supposed to be here sooner than later. So keep an eye out for those. All right, with that, I am going to let you guys get back to it. You probably got some modeling to do. I want to thank you for joining me on this Train Tuesday, and thank you for putting up with my rather rough voice. Tune in next Tuesday, same time, where we'll be talking about some more Athearn items. And remember, everything that we've talked about so far is available for pre-order on Friday, February 23rd. So until next time, everyone, I want everybody out there to be happy, be healthy, be safe, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens. Take care.